Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to this panel organized by the National Bank of Greece, which we all are grateful for this amazing invitation and the opportunity to discuss such an interesting topic. I'll go ahead and introduce the panelists, starting from the end, Mr. Pavlos Mylonas, the CEO of the National Bank of Greece. And then we have Mr. David Cordero, who is the Senior Managing Director at Accenture. And then we have, I rehearsed it a lot, Mr. Sajit Vijayakumar. Yes, the CEO of Infosys Finacle, and Mr. Simon Ward, who is the Global Core Banking and Payments Practice Leader at ABM. Thank you all for joining us. Here is the topic of the digital transformation and the impact that technology has at the banking sector. I think it's a major topic right now, and it's also a big one, right? So we can touch a little bit upon everything, and we'll try. We also have 10 minutes less in our panel, so let's be extra quick. And I'm excited to hear from you, starting as an opening conversation, like what is the single trend that stands out in your mind when talking about banking transformation, right? What's the one thing that singles out in your mind? And I would love to start with you Rajit.
This is a question that you want as the first speaker, right? Because you can choose whatever you want to choose, and the rest have got to talk around you, right? So that's lovely. I would say cloud is the single largest technological change that has really changed the world. And when I say cloud, it is not just hosting something in somebody else's data center. It is the way applications get built on cloud. It is the concept of a container that makes it really immutable. So if it works in one place, it works everywhere else. It's the joint innovation that the cloud hyperscalers have done, where you have serious elastic scale coming your way. It is the way it has enhanced the development experience from the regular SDLC lifecycle. How do you develop? How do you compile? How do you test? And so on and so forth. It is also the way where cloud has impacted cyber resilience to a very large extent, right? So net, I would think that's the single largest advancement that's happened in technology today that is really impacting very positively the way we run our applications.
Wonderful. And David?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it quite simple, the one that I see coming really strong, that is data and AI applied to a personalized service to customers. I think we'll see in the next couple of years a big change in the way banks are able to understand, create a context, and serve in a personalized fashion customers.
Wonderful. Simon?
Yeah, I think slightly aligned to that. You can't talk about technology at the moment without mentioning AI. AI has been around in banks for a long time, but it's really the generative AI wave that's come that's really transforming it, and the industry is moving so fast. New use cases coming out all the time. There's some interesting emerging ones at scale, like application modernization, we're seeing as a big thing. Customer care is a big thing.
Yeah.
Also, information discovery is a big area. Everyone's doing POCs, but I think the other thing is that the banks are getting worried about the safety of these tools and the governance around them. So I think there's more to come on that.
Wonderful. I'm going to try to go first name basis. I have to say Mr. Mylonas is a board member at Endeavor, and I'm talking to him as Mr. Mylonas, but Pavlos, please, what's the trend that singles out?
I think we heard the trends, and I will tell you what we need to do as a bank to face these challenges, because 4 or 5 years ago, we realized that technologically our bank was behind, and we had to catch up. So we took a very brave bet to invest heavily in tech, replace all our IT systems, and try to get ahead of all these trends, or at least not far behind is probably the more correct statement. So first thing we did was put our data in order. If your data is not in order and you don't have a single source of truth for your data, you cannot do many of the things that we heard. Changing the core banking to a cloud-enabled system. We heard about the importance of cloud. If your core system is not cloud-enabled, you're not going to get very far. Digital We went from 0 to being among the best digital providers in functionalities in Europe. Embedded banking was a big bet, and we have some of the best customers in terms of embedded banking. And finally, AI. Just now, we have normal AI, which is predictive, but now we're putting our toe into Gen AI, more for the internal part of the bank till it's proven to work. So that's in a quick view our strategy. We need to be capable of dealing with all these advances almost at once. So it's hard to do, but we're taking the hard road, and we think this is the way to go.
Amazing. So we have a panel of people that are doing world-class job in transforming the banking sector. So I think that we'll have the opportunity to get a little bit deeper understanding on what's happening right now, where our attention should be. And I would start with you, Pavlos, on the embedded and open banking, right? We have also an example from the Endeavor ecosystem. Spotawheel, which is a company that we support, now offers lending and financing opportunities using your platform in their website, in their technology. So I think it's an interesting time that we're living, right? We're seeing a lot of new applications opening up. I'm wondering what excites you. What are the trends that you see here? What should we be expecting as customers in Greece?
I think embedded banking is going to be the way that lending products are going to be distributed in the future. It is mostly now used for consumer lending, but it's coming on for mortgages and other retail products. We have embedded banking effectively takes the bank's solutions and products to the third party, and that's where you can do your banking. So you don't have to come to the branch. So it benefits the customer because they don't have to go to the branch. It benefits the person selling the product because they have financing and therefore can do more sales. And clearly it benefits the bank because they can also do more sales. However, it's easy to say, it's hard to do. What you need to do is have seamless links between the bank, the third party, providing good customer service to the third party, as well as the customers of the third party. That's hard to do. So we've invested heavily in APIs, which is the technical jargon for the link. And we have what we think is the best links to retailers. And I think that is shown in the fact that we have agreements with most of the large retailers in the Greek market. And I think we have somewhat over 50% of consumer loans done through third-party services. So a lot of hard work. We're also moving on the corporate side. We are doing APIs which are more bespoke per customer. We have about 80, 90 customers linking their ERPs, their back office systems, their treasury systems to the bank, and where they can deal with their suppliers, with their customers, with their payrolls, directly through the bank without bothering anyone at the bank. So that's a second use of embedded banking, slightly different than the first. And finally, on small business, we have our agreement with EpsilonNet, where our banking services go onto their ERP, which is for small businesses. So overall, I think we are moving rapidly in this direction. We are ahead of many others in the sophistication of the APIs. And let me go back to what I was saying about the core. Our new core banking system has built-in API creation, so we will be, all this painful work we're doing with APIs will be done far quicker. So I think it's the way of the future, and I think with our bet on our new core banking system, we're going to be ahead of the game in the years to come.
Let me say, as a Greek citizen, we never left the country during the crisis. It's music to our ears to see banks moving ahead with such a determination for technology, right, and disruption. and we cannot wait for an economy that's more propelled and more empowered by our banking system. But you spoke about core systems, and Sajit, I would like to take this topic with you. We're seeing, as technology advances, we're seeing all and more the need for banks to move from their legacy systems to the cloud and to digitalize their systems. So what should we be expecting there? What are the challenges? How are you following that?
The reason banks look forward to a legacy system is something like this, right? Over the last 10 years, we all invested a lot of money in mobile banking, online banking, put some chatbots, substantially improved the self-service capability of all the banking products, right? And I would say that has really worked. Banking in the world is a lot easier to perform. It was worldwide, right? It's a lot easier to perform than what it used to be about 10 years ago or 8 years ago, right? Now, what did this do, right? It has put a lot of focus on the core banking system, the legacy core banking system we had, right? Now we have consumers making micropayments, very, very small amounts, very frequently. And as Mr. Mylonas said, banking is getting embedded into trade. So every time when somebody buys something, half the time you're creating a loan back into your system and so on and so forth, right? So the consumption of, or the load that the core banking system has to support has become substantially different and grown exponentially in the last 3-4 years. Now, so why do we need, what are the technology things to do something that is more modern, right? One, I think the single largest thing is about managing scale and managing scale with some amount of personalization, right? We all did some work and made sure that the balance inquiry worked very well at all times. But when it comes to more complex transactions, systems really had a problem in scaling. So that is number one. And when I say scale, it is not just the volume handling capability. It is keeping this up and running for 24/7. And as you realize, it's not very easy to do that. You can't have a system that never goes down. So in reality, what happens is there are 2 or 3 copies of the system up and running at all times in sync, and when one goes down, the other picks it up, right? And this is all made possible because of the advances in cloud computing and the cloud ecosystem that has been there in the world, right? So that is one part. And also, with such large number of transactions, you need some level of fault tolerance, right? Let's say by a mistake from a network, you processed a payment file twice, right? You want the system to understand that it is getting processed the second time because there's so much of volume coming. If something went wrong, you need to have a notification that things are going wrong just at the first instance and not when hundreds and thousands of customers get to know that things have gone well. And so it's all about 24/7, maintaining volume elegantly, improving supportability, etc. All this at a price point that is affordable from a hardware consumption perspective, right? Earlier we had banking transactions to a minimum dollar level, and today it has become much lower. That doesn't mean that the whole cost equation should go bust, right? So this is part number one. Part number two, and I would argue it is a little more impactful, is the ability to make changes, right? And there are 3 aspects to this. One, how quickly can you code in an independent, containerized way without worrying about what everything else will do? And that's where a modern system with a componentized code and maybe microservices helps you better, so you can put in your code faster. And then, of course, there is a software development lifecycle, right? It has to be tested, and people have to certify that this is working well, and so on and so forth. And now it comes to a deployment time, right? You've got to roll it out in the system outside. And you really don't want to break things because, somebody made a small mistake, right? So these modern systems today have the ability to run the old part of the code and the new part of the code together, and you can divert the small traffic to the new part of the code and make sure that it is working, and then switch over to the next one, right? So these are all advances made possible because of what cloud computing is all about, and so on and so forth. That's the second part of it. Third part of it, Mr. Mylonas has touched upon as to how banking is shifting to a point of trade. Right now, people are not coming to the bank and taking loan and paying for something. It is seamlessly happening. Now, to enable that, either you're going to work very diligently with every single partner that you have, and that ticket sizes will start becoming smaller and smaller as you reach out to even smaller places, and that can be a little expensive. Or you should have a development platform where you can spin up an environment very quickly for a test environment for a partner, And this partner can use their own developers and build it themselves with some very clear instructions, right? So think of a core banking which focuses on a developer as a customer, right? Which is like the customer's IT organization and so on, your bank's customer's IT organization, right? So that's the second part, which is the third part, which is extensibility over the whole thing. And last but not the least is about cyber resilience. It is not the question of will someone get attacked. Few months ago, even Boeing got attacked, and they probably have the biggest IP to protect in the US after Lockheed Martin or somebody like that, right? But Boeing's systems got hacked. Now, it's not about will you, it is about when will that happen. And now, what can you do when you really get attacked? I mean, you can just destroy the virtual machine that got attacked and spin up another one very quickly and have a read-only copy of data maintained at all times. So at least your business continuity does not get impacted because of a cyber attack, right? You'll probably back up and running in 3 hours' time. And of course, you're going to deal with what happens to data. In modern systems, data is very encrypted, both in disk and when it is being transmitted. So the chances of somebody really making sense out of it with today's technological advancements is very minimal. But these are the 4 things where you would want to go with a brand new, modern core banking system to provide seamless digital experience at scale to your customers.
Wonderful. And I know we work with many fintechs, with many banks all over the world. And I know that core systems, but also cloud-first strategies are a major prerequisite in order for fintech companies to be able to work with banks. Right? And I'm wondering, Simon, if you can help us understand a little bit more why is moving to a cloud-based system operation is helping banks, and what are the challenges there?
Yeah, no, happy to do that. I recall I was actually speaking on to a conference like this 5 years ago about a major UK client who had taken the decision to go to cloud. And we were working with them. If you kind of go, well, why were they doing that? They're doing it for cost. Pay for what you use. They're doing it for flexibility because they had massive variations in their workloads. But I think that, picking up what Sajit was saying, it's about the speed of change. And cloud-based technologies allow you to do things fast. And that's one of the key things. Now, if you roll on, I don't think those things have really changed. But there are some new factors, because especially, I think, for the larger banks, right? So first thing we're seeing is that regulators are getting very worried about concentration risk. If several banks all are on one hyperscaler in one market, that's a problem. Second thing is, I think the bank's risk and compliance functions are getting nervous about the crown jewel data and having that on public cloud. Yeah. And thirdly, there's the other factor, which is in many markets, there is no hyperscaler that can offer the resilience and the response time requirements you need to put core banking systems on public cloud. So I think all that's causing, and I think it's the larger banks definitely are seeing this, is they're adopting what I would call a hybrid cloud strategy, which basically means using the new cloud-based technology, you can have on-premise computing, private cloud computing and public cloud computing. You basically run your applications wherever it's appropriate. And so, so I think and this will become the norm. And when you see things like instant payments, Josh, I'll talk about in a second, the volumes and response time requirements of that are going to drive this. But I think hybrid cloud will be a prevalent pattern for especially the larger banks way into the future.
Wonderful. And I'm seeing the clock. I think I'm going to ask you to increase the pace a little bit and go a little bit faster. Gen AI is a big topic. It's a big topic for all industries right now, and everyone is talking about Gen AI. And I'm wondering, David, if you have any insights to share. How is Gen AI going to affect banking transformation, and how is it affecting already?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Gen AI is the new shiny object. It's attracting the attention of everyone. I have to say, at the moment, we are already seeing results with use cases deployed in production, and I will share a couple of examples. But I think the force or the power of Gen AI has the potential to a total enterprise reinvention. I think all processes within a bank, internal and external, are subject to disruption with the technology. And a couple of examples. So in banking operations, we've seen processes like customer complaints management, that is a regulated process in Europe, moving in a tier 1 bank in Europe from days to hours. We're using, or it's being used, some of the things that this technology does better. That is extracting information for a document, in this case an email from a customer, identifying the intent, and classifying and triggering an action. Of course, at the end of the line, you have a person. And this is the model that I see in the short term getting traction, that is a copilot augmenting the capacity of our people in the different roles. Another interesting angle is digital. We've seen already automatic content generation to create a personalized experience in an app, I think that's already mature enough, but the next step is really creating these personalized experiences I was mentioning before. The technology is good at keeping the context of what a customer did on a call center, on the website, on the app, figuring out the next task. So in summary, the potential of this technology is truly amazing. I think there are more innovations coming. I expect these agents to become autonomous, to understand better how to break down a higher level task into individual tasks and plan properly. I think the future is bright, and I see the power to change banking.
There's certainly more innovations coming for sure, and that with innovations come data, right? I mean, imagine how many more data banks nowadays have access because of this technology, or will have because of these technologies. And I'm wondering, Pavlos, how do you see this as an opportunity to personalize financial products, and how you're leveraging this already?
Data is going to be a huge comparative advantage for the people that get it right. So what are we doing? Let's see if we're getting it right. As I said earlier, if you don't organize your data and you're disorganized, you're not going to get anything done, and that applies for data. And that applies both for structured data as well as unstructured data. Structured data is your normal data you consider for a bank. Unstructured data is videos, voice, anything you want. So we've finished putting order in an EDW, Enterprise Data Warehouse, for our structured data, and up in the cloud, we have one single system, one single platform for the unstructured data. Now, what do we do with it? This is where the fun starts. We started with internal next best offers. So there's machines that run, find predictions, and say when a client comes in, the RM pop-up says this client offer him this product. And we have a hit ratio which is very high. Then we can do push campaigns. That is not just to everyone, but designated to people who have special characteristics. They receive specific messages. Credit. Small business was always a headache. The data was funny. You could not apply standard credit underwriting that you do for corporates, small business. We take their transaction data. We created credit underwriting models, and the ability for them to distinguish good from bad credits on SB is remarkable. Third, monetization. We are selling to firms, business people, aggregate data for what's going on in their region, in their sector. You want to know how many you sell bread, okay, you make bread, how many other bakers are in the region, and what sort of traffic they get. And we give them the ability to send out personalized campaigns to clients. Of course, here we have issues of GDPR. It has to go to people who agree to receive this stuff. So GDPR and monetization are a big headache. KYC, we can offer KYC services to firms that don't want to set up a KYC, given all the investment we have done in KYC. So we're running out of time, so I have many other examples, but this is a whole new type of banking.
It's very exciting, very exciting. And another thing that's really exciting to see, right, what's at play right now is real-time payments. We see a strong push all over the world for real-time for banks to adopt wider real-time payments. And Simon, we need your help in understanding what's at play here. What's happening in this area?
Yeah, it's true. The adoption of instant payments across the world in certain geos. I mean, India is way ahead. It's been quite incredible. I mean, I was looking at one, Brazil. If you take Brazil, they introduced PIX. If anyone's heard of PIX, it's a peer-to-peer payments, instant payments system in 2020. By 2023, 86% of the adult population were using it, and that was giving 36 billion transactions last year. So that's just a scale of what's going on. Now, if you look at why that is, I mean, there's first of all consumer behaviour. We've all got mobiles. We all want instant gratification of service, and people who offer that, they're going to get that pull. The merchants and businesses like it because it attracts lower fees, and instant liquidity, and those two things together are a diamond, right? The banks, it's not necessarily doom and gloom for the banks, because, again in Brazil, there was, over that course of those 3 years, 40 million accounts were opened to use that PIX application. So that's 40 million more opportunities for likes of MBG to cross-sell their services. Now, obviously, if you look a bit closer home to Europe, it's a bit more of a patchy picture, right? So 2017, the regulations come out, they're optional. If you look at Spain, they come out with BICM. I think what's the stats I had the other day was 53% of all instant payment or payment transactions in Spain on with BICM. So, but conversely, if you look at Germany or Ireland, it's very low. And some of the banks are reducing it. So I think, quite honestly, now they're going to mandate the regulation, and next year everyone's going to be compliant and offering it. I think we're going to see the same sort of things that are happening in APAC, happening in Europe.
Wonderful. And we have 2 minutes left, so we lost hope for the last question to be a fully developed question, but I will embed it in to be aligned with the panel. I will embed it in my last questions for both of you, right, Sajit and David. We're going to talk about regulation. We're going to talk about zero trust. You have 1 minute each, and I would love also to include, are all of these technologies already yielding results? I mean, are you seeing banks that are quicker in adopting these technologies, outperforming their competitors? So regulation, Sajit, can you help us a little bit understand how regulations are empowering this?
Absolutely. The point I made about core banking systems being agile and supporting change, be it for a new business capability or for driving a regulatory change, is absolutely critical. And the banks that are really investing a substantial amount in technology, or more than its peer, are really seeing them having more capability to get more corporate banking, retail banking business, and this is visible world over. Okay.
Do you think they're working? Do you think that banks are outperform? Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every leader in this space, I mean, be it Digital Bank of Development Bank of Singapore or Goldman Sachs, all of this stuff. Even the Apple deposit they started very recently. They've got like billions of dollars on savings accounts, which they launched in partnership with Goldman Sachs. Right. Whoever is putting money on technology is really seeing the benefit.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Zero trust. I like this concept. We should not assume that any user workload device is inherently trustworthy. Can you help us a little bit understand how is this affected?
We discuss a lot about the number of technologies, but if there is one thing that can put all this progress at risk is security, cybersecurity. We know the trend's been protecting the perimeter for many years. Now the idea is to really protect the inside. This is the zero trust strategy. That is basically, trust no one, validate everything, and I think it will require also heavy investment to really modernize the infrastructure, but clearly the level of innovation around cybersecurity needs to keep the pace with the other innovations to make them a reality.
And what's your opinion about adopting technology?
No, I mean, I think there is evidence in the market already that those institutions betting on technology investment as a differentiator, even as an equity story to the investors is paying off. We see results like, I know BBVA in Spain outperforming European peers in the last 2-3 years to 2.5 times. So it pays off.
Yeah, and I have to ask the CEO of a bank if he thinks also that technologies will define the outperformers.
We made the bet 4 years ago. We've been outspending peers by a very wide margin, and I think the results are in already, but I wish we could be talking in 2 years' time, because then we will be in a different dimension. And let me just add on cyber as well. If there's one thing that keeps me up at night, it's cyber, and we spent a lot of effort and a lot of money doing tests on cyber, penetration tests, various tests. It is also top of mind. It is everything we're doing can go down the drain due to cyber.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.